Yes, sir. I do.
incident? Okay, on that day, were you working for any police department or fire department?
Yes, I'm a Bossier City Reserve officer.
Okay, as a reserve officer, can you kind of briefly just describe your duties and things that you do for the police department?
As a reserve officer, primary reserve officer, I have no restrictions. I do pretty much what the full-time officers do. Make arrests, traffic stops, and work part-time jobs if they can't cover it, full-time guys can't cover it.
Okay. At the police department, what's your badge number?
2969.
And do you have a radio call sign?
Yes, sir. It's 505.
505. Okay, and so as a reserve, is it safe to say that you can work regular patrol functions and you can do everything that a full-time police officer does, you just do it at a part-time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so on this day, on this Saturday, what was your capacity? What were you doing?
I was leaving headquarters on my way to the boardwalk to work a part-time, actually. At the corner, I was at the corner of Highway 80 in Hamilton when we started to hear the call starting around the Bellagio, the apartment complex there on Highway 80. Just listening to the call out, we was listening to the streets and we was like, hey, they're coming towards us. So we kind of actually just turned around and was headed back towards Airline Drive from Hamilton Road. And then by the time before we even got to Benton Road, everything had already transpired. The wreck and we heard the shots fired call come out before we even got there.
Okay.
That's what actually made us turn around and head that way kind of quick.
Whenever you heard the shots fired call?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you said we. Was there anybody else inside the vehicle with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
There was Dwayne Caesar. He's another officer.
Is he a full-time or reserve?
No, sir. He's a reserve officer as well. There's two different classes of reserve officers in the reserve unit. There's a primary reserve officer, which is no restrictions, can do everything that a full-time officer can do, and then there's non-primary, which he was, and he can't patrol by himself. He has to ride with either a primary officer, a primary reserve officer, or a full-time officer.
Okay, and you said earlier you're a primary reserve
Yes, sir.
officer?
I'm a primary reserve officer.
Is that why he was with you?
Yes,
He
sir.
has
Both of us was going to the boardwalk to work.
the boardwalk for like an extra duty detail and
Yes, sir.
off-duty job?
Yes.
Okay. So y'all are going there and you hear the pursuit kick off. Did you hear, or do you remember anything that the dispatch said or the other officer said during the pursuit?
I just heard the streets. I did hear, I believe I heard headquarters call out that he was armed during their pursuit. Mm-hmm. And then that's about that, and then the call outs of the streets and maybe some vehicles and tires blown out, and then he rolled the vehicle and then shots fired.
Okay. So at no point during the pursuit you were involved in it, correct?
No, sir.
And at no point during the shots fired were you on scene or did you witness anything?
No, sir, did not.
Okay, so after the fact, after everything was settled down, I guess, and the scene was secure, somewhat secure at that time, you showed up.
Yes, sir. It was pretty much right after everything, just maybe 1 or 2 minutes after everything happened.
Okay. And whenever you showed up on scene, what was your perception of it? Like, what was going on?
It was, well, a lot of officers around, different entities. It was Halton, BPSO, Bossier. The thing I did was asked if he was still moving around, if you had a pulse, or if you, and nobody knew because, nobody really hadn't checked yet. And I asked, can I just look and see, just in case there was something I could do, render aid or something like that, because I carry a paramedic bag in the truck.
Okay.
And mainly for the other officers, but of course, if suspect needs help, I mean, I'm willing to help.
Okay. You said you talked. Do you remember who you talked to on scene by chance? I know there's probably a lot going on.
Sergeant was standing there. I believe it was it Booth that was standing by the truck, and Hugo Hollins was there. He was the one that walked up to the truck with me, and those were the only two initially that I talked to.
Okay, and then I guess you talked to them. They said they hadn't at that time checked for any medical, and then so you go up to check medical. What did you observe? I think earlier you said we were talking about somebody. You were talking about the driver inside of the vehicle.
Yes,
at
sir.
the time?
The driver inside the vehicle.
So what did you observe whenever you walked up and you actually put eyes on them?
Well, when I actually put eyes on him, I mean, most of the wounds I saw was kind of incompatible to life. I mean, he was not even any agonal respirations or anything like that. I looked in and I could just tell that it was nothing really. Most of the wounds he had was incompatible to life.
Okay. And did you check for pulse, or was it just your visual observation?
Just my visual observation.
Okay. And you are wearing a fire department uniform right now.
I am,
Do you
yes,
work for the fire department?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay. Which one do you work for?
Shreveport Fire Department.
Okay. How long have you been with Shreveport Fire?
24 years.
Okay. And what is your jobs and duties at the Shreveport Fire Department?
I'm a fire captain paramedic.
Okay.
Also a battalion safety officer.
How long have you been a paramedic for?
Yeah, 2005. Yes, 2005.
Okay, so roughly 17, 18
17,
years?
yes,
So
sir.
the majority of your career, you've been on the medical side of the fire department?
Yes, sir.
As a paramedic. Have you had any specialty trainings as a paramedic to deal with maybe gunshot wounds or people involved in crashes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Could you just briefly describe any of the training you've had done?
Well, we went over chest seals. We do have carry them on the fire department as well. We went over the car wrecks. I mean, C-spine immobilization. We, check for fractures and just your major injuries and
Things like that. Okay, so
things like that.
as a paramedic, have you ever been involved or had to work on a person involved in a crash or involved with a gunshot wound?
Yes, sir.
Over the years, could you estimate how many cases you've dealt with? I know it's hard to put a number on it.
Yeah, it kind of is. I would say most of the major ones, I would say about 15, 16.
Okay.
The major, like gunshot wounds or the major accidents.
Okay. And in your experience, just from what you visually saw looking inside of the vehicle, would that, on a normal, if you were working for the fire department at that time and you showed up as a paramedic or EMT to help and assist with that deal, would you have handled it any differently, or would it have been just a visual look and
Well, yes, sir, I kind of would, but being a crime scene, I didn't want to move a whole lot of things around.
Okay.
That's the only thing why I didn't do a lot more.
Okay. In your, I guess, professional paramedic opinion, would there have been any life-saving measures to be taken that day, at that time, whenever you showed up on scene, that would have maybe made a difference, or?
No, sir.
Okay. I think, what do you got?
You mentioned when you observed the driver in the vehicle, what types of breaths did you say you didn't observe?
Didn't see any.
Well, you called it a certain
Agonal respiration. Yes,
Can you
sir.
explain
Agonal respiration is kind of like if you you've seen the fish out of water, and they have that, kind of.
Long pauses in
Long-
between.
yes, sir.
The gasping.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is that different from what they call, like a death rattle, or is that that last gasping of breath?
Yes, sir.
Kind of clinging to
Yes, sir.
the lungs, trying to fill up with air.
Yes, sir.
So you didn't observe any at all?
No, sir.
Okay. About how long do you think you watched?
Probably 45 seconds.
Okay. So that's a pretty long time for no breaths to be seen. That's pretty much all I have, man.
Okay, yeah. Whenever, so were you there before Bossier Fire Department arrived on scene?
Yes, sir. I was.
So you were the first paramedic on scene?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you said you had I guess a go bag or a bag with medical supplies in it?
Yes, sir.
And things like that? Okay.
But
If there was chances of life where you believe in your experience that you could have helped and provided aid, would you have provided aid?
yes, sir.
Okay.
I would have.
Is there anything we left out that you think would be important for us to know? Any questions we failed to ask?
Not anything. I mean, no, sir. I mean, that's told you everything I did and saw. So
Okay.
I do have another. When you walked up to the vehicle, not just the driver, but did you observe anything else in the vehicle?
no, sir. Not inside the vehicle. The second time I walked back up there was when Bossier City Medic Unit, Trauma Unit, was there, and the only thing I did observe was just like what they appeared to be a rifle outside the vehicle, because it wasn't me, that somebody pulled it outside the vehicle to kind of clear the scene for the medics off the trauma unit to get in there.
So the first time you went up there, it was not laying outside the vehicle.
No, sir.
Okay. So, but you,
I didn't see it outside the vehicle the first time.
Did you see it in? You didn't see it in?
I didn't. No, sir. I focused on him.
Okay. But you did see it the second time.
Yes, sir. I did see it the second time.
The Bossier paramedics, was there any kind of conversation? Did you ever talk to them?
Yes, sir.
About their-
I did tell him that, I looked in, I didn't see anything, like as far as acne respirations or any kind of movement or anything like that. The way he is, the way he was, I'd never moved him or anything like that. So it's kind of pertinent for them to know that the way he was the way I saw him. Because they would, if there was any questions like, well, how did his arm get like that? Or did I move his arm to check a pulse or anything? But the way he was the way, when they saw him was the way I saw him.
Okay, and do you know if they provided any medical attention to him?
After that, I left. I was told to go watch the tape to make sure that nobody crossed from Zaxby's. Yeah, Zaxby's. Make sure nobody crossed over the crime scene line.
Okay.
But I did see a monitor outside the truck, which is the Light Pack 12 or Light Pack 10. I don't know what they use over there, but I'm sure they put leads on him to make sure there wasn't any electrical activity in the heart.
That's what I wanted to ask you real quick. So I'm going to give you a hypothetical on your fire department side.
Yes, sir.
As a paramedic in Shreveport, if you're called out to a scene, a house, and someone's been, let's say, stabbed, or obviously, and when you as a paramedic get there, they're obviously deceased.
Yes, sir.
What is the fire
The protocol
department's- right.
to make sure. Well,
Like
our
you're saying it's a
protocol.
crime scene, so I know. I mean, if it's an obvious deceased person,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I don't want to go graphic, but if it's obviously deceased, like you said, you didn't want to move anything because you know it's a crime scene, someone's been murdered.
Yes, sir.
So if you didn't have leads or anything like that with you, you would wait for someone with leads, or?
Yes, sir. Usually the medic unit are the only trucks that have the Light Pack 12, where you can look at heart rates and shockable rhythms. You shock them. What I could do is I can check a carotid, check a radial pulse, stuff like that. And then, of course, if it's an obvious death or somebody's been down a while, you check for certain things like dependent lividity, which the blood pool, or rigor mortis or something like that.
But if it's an obvious death, then you're not gonna be packing wounds or, putting tourniquets on.
Right.
Like that.
Yes, sir. I would just check a pulse by just filling a radio pulse.
If, just one more hypothetical, I'm sorry.
Okay, sure.
Let's say the driver of this vehicle, he was conscious and breathing. What would have been the protocol for the EMS that pulled up for them? Is there something with the amount of wounds he had on him right there? Is there something they could have done right there? Or would they had to have transported him to a hospital?
They could have done a few things there. Maybe if there was like chest wounds or something, they could probably put, you know, your pads on front and back, just to, if it was through and through. If not, they would probably put a pad on the front, just have a flapper valve in case, you know, in case it punctured a lungs collapse, and then you have to have a flapper valve, so if air fills up, it has a way to escape, you know, that kind of thing. But as far as being in the arms or legs, that's nothing crucial or critical that you would take care of first. You know, mainly just like your heart and lungs and stuff like that.
And then after that, I guess he would have been transported to a hospital.
Yes, sir. He'd be transported to a level 1 trauma, which is University Health, LSU, or whatever they call it now.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else you think we left out? That's important.
No, sir.
Alrighty. So now, time now is 9:33 a.m. We're gonna end this interview.